John Wayne made more westerns than anyone could count, but his war movies are a different story. These films made him Hollywood's soldier, even as real veterans mocked him for never serving. Some of these movies turned into Marine Corps propaganda, but a few still stand as some of the greatest war films ever made. Here are John Wayne's 10 best war movies, ranked. Starting off, John Ford's Wings of Eagles takes a real swing at the life of Frank Spig Weed. Wayne plays Weed, a Navy pilot who gets paralyzed in an accident but refuses to give up on life. Instead, he pivots and becomes a screenwriter, turning his love for aviation into a bunch of stories for Hollywood. What's interesting here is that Ford, who was friends with Wed, basically made this film as a personal tribute. You could look at it as just another Ford and Wayne team-up, but the story's deeper. Even if Ford had never touched this project, Weed's story would still be one of the more moving ones to come out of the military. There's tragedy here, but also real resilience, and Wayne actually brings a lot of authenticity to it. Out of all the war movies Wayne made, this one is definitely among the most personal. Operation Pacific came from George Wagner, the guy who made The Wolfman. This time he's got Wayne in the role of a submarine lieutenant commander. The movie kicks off with a tragedy on board, and Wayne's character is left picking up the pieces while taking on a high-stakes mission against the Japanese. Patricia Neal co-stars, playing Wayne's love interest, and Ward Bond, who made 23 movies with Wayne, is right there as the sub-captain. The two of them had real chemistry that carries the movie. Of course, Operation Pacific isn't going to win any awards for realism. It's a little corny and critics weren't big fans, but it's got that crowd-pleaser energy. Max Steiner did the score here, same guy behind Casablanca and The Searchers, so the music's top-notch. The movie itself was inspired by Admiral Charles Lockwood's actual experiences with the Pacific subfleet. Lockwood even served as a technical advisor, and Wayne made a point of working closely with real submariners. For Flying Leathernecks, Wayne teams up with Robert Ryan. They play Marine aviators heading into the Pacific Campaign, with Wayne as Major Daniel Kirby and Ryan as Captain Carl Griffin. The two clash over how to train their pilots. Wayne's all about discipline, Ryan's more of the soft touch. The pilots pay the price for being unprepared, and the tension between the two leads actually makes the movie more interesting than most of its kind. Flying Leathernecks was one of only 2 John Wayne films that Howard Hughes produced, the other being Jet Pilot. The cockpit shots definitely show their age, but there's a good mix of those stage scenes and actual combat footage. By the time the story gets to Guadalcanal, it really starts to pick up. Hughes pushed hard to get Wayne for the lead, even when people doubted the casting. Meanwhile, Wayne clashed with the film's technical advisor, Marine ace John Smith, who was not shy about calling Wayne out for never having served. That led to some real tension on set, but it gives the film a little edge you can still feel. This one is more of a guerrilla war film than your standard World War II story. Wayne plays an Army colonel setting up a resistance in the Philippines after the Japanese invade. Anthony Quinn is in here too, playing a Filipino local who helps get everyone together. The movie was filmed near the end of the war, and as luck would have it, MacArthur actually retook the Philippines during production, which forced them to rewrite the ending on the fly. The timing ended up being perfect for release. Quinn, for his part, later admitted he was uncomfortable with how Hollywood glossed over the brutality of the occupation. He called it a patriotic rush job, and that really sums up the mood of the whole movie. Like a lot of movies from this era, the way it depicts both Japanese soldiers and Filipinos hasn't aged well. It's worth keeping in mind when you watch it, and it's definitely led to criticism in recent years about Wayne's legacy. At number 6, we have Flying Tigers. This is where Wayne really got his start as a World War II action star. Before this, he'd done a couple movies set during the war, but this was his first actual combat role. He plays the head of a squadron of volunteer pilots fighting the Japanese in China. The movie's got some fantastic dogfight scenes, great model work, quick edits, and for its time, really impressive effects. In fact, it grabbed 3 Oscar nominations for Best Visual Effects, Best Original Score, and Best Sound. For the effects, they used miniature planes on wires and recycled a lot of shots to save money. If you watch closely, you'll spot the same plane blowing up more than once. Released just months after Pearl Harbor, Flying Tigers was meant as a straight-up propaganda film, and it definitely worked. It turned Wayne into a patriotic icon, and it was Republic's first movie to break $1 million at the box office. That said, the real Flying Tigers commander was furious about the movie's inaccuracies and how Hollywood glamorized everything. At number 5, we have a film that basically tries to juggle every A-list actor alive in 1962. It's what you'd get if someone tried to make The Avengers, except it's about D-Day and nobody's smiling. The story covers the entire Normandy landings, pulling in actors from both the Allied and Axis sides, and they even had real D-Day veterans consulting on set. John Wayne plays Lieutenant Colonel Benjamin Vandervoort, a role that almost went to Charlton Heston until Wayne landed it. Now, there's always debate about whether The Longest Day is really a John Wayne film, because this cast is stacked. It's an ensemble all the way, with Henry Fonda, Richard Burton, Robert Mitchum, Sean Connery, Red Buttons, Robert Ryan, Roddy McDowall, Peter Lawford. The list just goes on. Wayne's role is bigger than a cameo, but in a movie this crowded, no one person takes over. Still, the producers knew his star power. He gets a special and John Wayne credit just to make it clear. The film itself doesn't shy away from romanticizing war, but it's still packed with historical detail. Everyone gets a little time in the spotlight. Burton especially has some great moments. It got 5 Oscar nominations, including Best Picture, and took home 2: Best Cinematography and Best Special Effects. Wayne demanded $250,000 for just 4 days on set, and he wanted his character aged up by 10 years, which led to all kinds of production chaos. With so many big personalities on one film, you'd expect drama. Richard Burton showed up drunk, Sean Connery made fun of the script, and Robert Mitchum nearly walked off over Wayne's pay. The end result is one of the most expensive and chaotic war films of its era, but also a classic. Number 4 is Otto Preminger's In Harm's Way, an Oscar-nominated director taking on Pearl Harbor, with Wayne in the middle of it all. The film opens with a pretty intense recreation of the Pearl Harbor attack. It's actually one of the better battle sequences from this period, even if some of the model work doesn't quite hold up. Wayne plays Captain Rockwell Torrey, who gets a shot at payback after his ship is hit. What follows is part war movie, part soap opera. There's just as much melodrama and romantic subplot as there is action. Think Michael Bay's Pearl Harbor, but made in 1965. The second act leans heavy on the love stories, not just for Wayne, but for Kirk Douglas and Tom Tyron too. It picks up again in the final act with a big naval battle, which helped the film land an Oscar nomination for Best Cinematography. The Fighting Seabees is the film that dramatizes the origin story of the Navy's construction battalions in World War II. Wayne plays a civilian engineer stuck in the Pacific, whose unarmed men keep getting attacked by Japanese forces. He pushes for the creation of militarized construction units, the Seabees, to fight back, and the movie walks through their earliest, toughest days. It's a side of the war most people never saw on screen back then. The film actually deals with the ugly side of war more than you'd expect for its time. Wayne's character is put through the ringer, and he's a lot less one-dimensional here, more to work with than the usual wartime hero. It's worth remembering this was made as outright propaganda in partnership with the Navy. The idea was to make the Seabees look like heroes, and it worked, but there are moments that look a little disturbing today, like when Wayne's character deliberately runs down Japanese soldiers with a bulldozer. The Navy loved it. They actually used the film for recruitment. At number 2 is one of John Ford's most underrated films, They Were Expendable. It tends to get overlooked because everyone just remembers Wayne and Ford for their westerns, but this is one of their finest collaborations. It's also one of the best war movies, period. There's no flag waving or cheap heroics here. It's a solemn story about duty, set on a patrol boat in the Pacific, with Robert Montgomery as the captain and Wayne playing his second. Montgomery had actually commanded boats during the war and brought a lot of reality to the role, so much so that when Ford wasn't available, he stepped in to direct scenes himself. Ford shot most of the movie while still serving in the Navy, using his rank to keep the set in order. Wayne had to deal with Ford's bullying, and Ford kept comparing him unfavorably to Montgomery because Wayne had never enlisted. That tension just sits in the movie, and it comes through in the performances. At the top, it's Sands of Iwo Jima, one of the greatest war movies ever made, not just Wayne's personal best. This is the film that locked in Wayne's image as America's go-to soldier. He plays a Marine sergeant rough on his men, haunted by everything he's seen and determined to get his unit ready for what's coming, even if they hate him for it. The final scenes are as powerful as any you'll see in a World War II film, and the movie is still a favorite among military buffs and regular movie fans alike. Wayne earned his first Best Actor nomination here in 1950. He didn't win, but it started a weird pattern where he'd get nominated about once a decade: The Alamo in 1961, True Grit in 1970. Real Iwo Jima flag raisers actually appear in the film, recreating their moment. That kind of authenticity gives the film an edge. Even with the Marine Corps using Sands of Iwo Jima as a training film for decades, Wayne still got roasted by real Marines for never having served. He later admitted he overplayed Stryker's toughness, but it didn't matter. The image stuck. Eastwood might have gone deeper into the battle in his later films, but Sands is still a milestone, both for Wayne and for war movies in general.